Mark Kelso is the Buffalo Bills radio analyst, and he joins us here on Big Board Sports. He played, of course, for the Buffalo Bills from 1986 through 1993, part of the Buffalo teams to go to 4 straight Super Bowls. And Mark joins us here on Big Board Sports, 104.5 A Team, ESPN Radio in Albany. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, guys. How's everybody in Albany today?
Good. We're good, Mark. Ton of Buffalo Bills fans. I mean, Giants is always trumps everybody they're always the number one because they trained here for 16 years. But I always say when the Bills got it going, there's a ton of Buffalo Bill fans around here, and they got it going a little bit right now. Mark, what's your thoughts about this 4-2 team from what you have seen so far?
Yeah, appreciate that. And the fans were in Western New York were fantastic yesterday as well. Made it really difficult for that Tampa Bay offense to operate. But I mean, they've developed a template for what they believe can be a winning formula, and they try to stay true to it, making teams drive, go 10, 11, 12 plays if they're going to put points on the board. And they've been really good in the red area. Yesterday was probably the worst that they've performed defensively on third down. I mean, the Bucs offensively were terrific. Jameis Winston had a really good day and really showed what his potential is. But the template is defense, and let's create some turnovers, give the offense some advantageous field positions, and let's run the ball and execute some play-action pass. Tyrod can escape with his legs. He's got some improvisational skills, and if we can do that and they can hold on to the football, and they have an opportunity to win, and they put themselves in position really in every game this year to come out with a victory, and have fallen short a couple times, but sit in a pretty good spot right now, and then a big game coming up this week against a really healthy opponent.
Yeah, Buffalo will play New England twice in December too. But you know what? 4-2, and it looks like Sean McDermott has kind of changed the climate a little bit in Buffalo. What do you think about the job that he has done so far with this franchise?
Yeah, a lot of optimism right now, and on my part and the part of the fan base. I think. I mean, the culture has changed. There's no question about that. I mean, we're not a young team. Got a couple of really good young players, but he brought in a lot of veteran leadership, guys that have been there before, guys that understand how to prepare, guys that know what it takes on a daily basis to prepare for game day on Sunday afternoon. And some of those guys, I think, that have been quiet leaders, he's encouraged to be a little bit more vocal. And one of those guys is Kyle Williams. I mean, he's been very vocal and he has great leadership qualities, but just kind of a quiet leader, and he's made his voice known a little bit more severely, I guess, in the locker room, and the way that guys need to prepare and the way that they need to think about one game and the way that they need to go about their business. And I think that's been a good thing. And he's got some other good leaders in the building, and then he's brought in some guys from the outside, some guys that he had a lot of experience with, or some of the other coaches on the staff, particularly Coach Frazier, had some experience with, and those guys have provided a great boost in leadership as well.
Mark, Chris Honorato here with Roger as well. You mentioned that upcoming opponent in Oakland, but it is at home, which will be nice for Buffalo. Going into this year, knowing that the Bills did not have to stay attached to Tyrod Taylor if they didn't want to after 2017, we saw receivers being traded away. It felt like they were almost handing Tyrod Taylor an impossible situation, and yet here we are 4-2, and I've been impressed by at least his efficiency to play the quarterback position. What have you observed about Taylor at that spot as you watch him every Sunday?
Yeah, extremely efficient. I mean, the only thing that he needs to learn to do better is trust himself. I mean, he sometimes is not decisive enough in specific instances where he needs to just let the ball go. Occasionally, when there's a really tight window, and he can throw to tight windows, I believe, but occasionally when there's a really tight one, he's reluctant to let it go because he doesn't want to make a mistake and turn the ball over. And I mean, his whole time in Buffalo, he's been fantastic at that, and not turning the ball over, not throwing interceptions. He does throw to some really tight windows. He threw a nice back shoulder throw down the seam to O'Leary yesterday, which was a really good throw. He found Logan Thomas in the back of the end zone for a touchdown, which is a good throw. He was open by a few steps, but still another good throw. And he was magical with his feet yesterday. When they put him in positions that play to his skill strengths, I think he has just tremendous ability and can take this team a long way. And he's one of those other guys too that just kind of exudes leadership, makes the guys around him better, is always talking about his teammates and the ways that they're bringing bringing success to the team as opposed to what he brings to the team. So he always points out other people. I mean, he's got every quality you want in a guy to lead your club. And when they orchestrate plays and they get the running game going or enable him to execute a play-action pass game that then makes the running game go on the back end, I think those are the things that play to his strengths. And when you play to his strengths, I think he can be really effective.
And defensively, Mark, this team is just rock solid. I mean, yesterday they forced 3 turnovers, and the last turnover set up the game-winning field goal. So Buffalo, even going into the season without knowing how Taylor would do and the offense would do, I kind of figured Buffalo would be pretty good defensively, and that's proved to be the point.
Yeah, and switch back to the 43 and have some guys that have just been playing at a really high level. I think they have some guys up front that can be really disruptive, and then the linebacking core, Preston Brown, feels really comfortable this year. Not sure he was as comfortable in that 30 defense that they played the last couple of years with Coach Ryan. And back to the 40 so he can run around and line up just a little bit deeper, make sure he's taking good angles. Alexander continues to play really, really well. Humber was a guy that was playing extremely well until he suffered the injury in Atlanta. And then Matt Milano is one of the guys that they drafted that they have high hopes for. And he's kind of got his sea legs as well. So he's really playing well and came up with a big interception yesterday. And they continue to limit big plays. The running game, they continue to hold opponents under 100 yards in the running game and force teams to be one-dimensional. And they've got 2 guys on the back end that really communicate, and Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, who have been playing really well at the safety positions, communicating with those corners. And guys have been playing at a high level. They really have. And defensively, I mean, that's the most yards anybody's put up on them yet this year was yesterday's performance by the Bucs offense. But they still, they were able to weather that storm and come out victorious. So I think they're looking forward to this upcoming week.
And Trey White, of course, goes without saying he's been terrific in his rookie season. Mark Kelso with us here, Bills radio analyst, of course, played 8 seasons at safety for the Bills, 30 picks over those 8 years for Mark. One last thing from me, Mark, and I said it earlier in the show. Look, if we do nothing in sports talk radio better, we love to get ahead of ourselves. And so the 2 games against New England in December, I think, sets up well for this Bills team because they will simply just gain momentum, I believe anyway, through the month of November leading up to those 2 games against the Patriots, which they look like a somewhat vulnerable team anyway at this point. What would you say should be the expectations Bills fans put on this Buffalo team the rest of the way?
Well, I mean, and I'm going to take a dial it back a notch because I'm a player, so I'm going to think 1 week at a time. As you know, I probably would. I mean, this is an extremely talented Raiders team that comes in here. I think Derek Carr is the best young quarterback in the league, and I assume they'll be without Marshawn if that suspension is upheld, but they can really sling it, and then they've got great pressure. And Khalil Mack, if you don't defend him and block him, he is going to be extremely disruptive to your offensive production. So they really have to think 1 week at a time. And then the Jets, the following Thursday night, I mean, the Thursday night game is a short week. The Jets have been playing a lot better. So, I mean, if you set yourself up in December to be in the same position you are now, I think you're in a pretty favorable position. And I think you feel like you can defend against a team like New England who's been at the top of this division for an awfully long time, and you'll set yourself up to be in position. But if you look forward too many weeks ahead or even more than 1 week ahead, you're not going to have that opportunity because guaranteed they're going to come up with a loss that they didn't expect because they were looking down the road. So and I know that's the mantra that they're preaching there is you've got to take it 1 game at a time. We've got to prepare, be diligent, and just comprehensive about our preparation time for this coming week. And we've got to just take it 1 week at a time. I mean, I never thought they'd have the trouble they had with Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay was fantastic offensively, and it wasn't a miracle certainly, but because it was some good plays, and Tre'Davious White punched that ball out, and just great awareness by him. And you're right, he's had a terrific start to his career here, and looks like he's going to be a fabulous player. But it really was difficult for the Bills to secure a victory yesterday, even with just a really boisterous crowd behind them. So they can take nobody for granted to this point, and if they don't, then hopefully they'll be in position to compete for a division title or an AFC East title here as the season gets into December.
Mark Kelso, always a pleasure. We appreciate you taking a few minutes for us. A lot of Buffalo Bills fans here, and a 4-2 record has them pumped up. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Always love talking about Western New York fans.
There you go. We got a lot of them.
They're crazy out there. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.